a job type opportunity, relocation brought us here, and obviously I think the quality of life in this area is different. If you're raising a family, if you're a younger couple, and everybody was at some point a younger couple, this is a good place to be. And I think after a while though, and it's a challenge for a lot of people, a certain demographic, because there's not a lot of things to do, and I think that's why your effort's important, is because people are saying, well, you're close enough to the cities to do something. If you really want to do something, you can go. And every alternative is always somewhere else. So it's kind of like, well, let's build here. So Chris Miksánek, the Med City movie guy. It's a title I coined when I started writing for the Post Bulletin about, it's probably been about 10 years ago, and then they went through some iterations of things. So after I started writing for the Post Bulletin, I started doing the KROC AM radio spot, and of course you can see a lot of the content on the medcitymovieguy.com website and things like that. And I go out. I'm a voting member of for the Critics' Choice Movie Award. Well, that's a very interesting question, because I probably was reviewing movies before I really liked them enough to review. So let me explain what that means. I think everybody reviews movies. Everybody tells their friends and things like that, this is worth seeing, this is not worth seeing. That's why that first weekend at the box office is important, I think, because it's just the buzz and the hype. But the second weekend is really the word of mouth. And that's where you really find out, I think, whether a movie has that sort of sustaining power. So when the PB editor first asked me did I want to review movies, the only reviewing I had been doing was, the word of mouth, But it wasn't probably until a couple years later that I realized that there are some really neat movies that not a lot of people, or not enough people, talk about. So in this regard, it seems to me that maybe film review is probably a lot like restaurant review. I mean, there's a time when it's perfunctory reviews, But then there's a time where there's something that you're so excited about, you become an advocate, salesperson. And there was this one neat movie that I couldn't stop talking about called The Intouchables. It's a foreign film.
Je me suis appliqué. Il faut ouvrir les yeux. Oh l'horreur. C'est atroce. Non, ça vous va bien. Oh non. Non. Mais non, regardez, gilet en cuir là, sans manches, bracelet à clous, petite casquette de flic Village People un peu. Ah non, j'ai trouvé José Bové. Vous avez la même tête. C'est très chelou. On dirait un prêtre orthodoxe.
It's very interesting. There's such heart, this movie, and I talked a lot about it. And it was a really fun review to write. But in some regards, there's been some movies that I've liked so much, or I thought were so good, that I didn't think I could write a review good enough, worthy enough. So I really don't know what to make of that. It's basically about a fellow who's kind of on the wrong side of the tracks. He's on their version of like welfare, but in order to continue to get it, he has to at least go through the motions of applying for a job. And he gets a job. I think the guy was a native of Africa, but he gets a job for like a wealthy French guy who's a wheelchair bound. So it's a very unlikely pairing to begin with, but the humor, and it's in a different language, which is also something that's hard to convey.
Especially with humor.
Exactly. But the humor is so touching, the relationship. It's just, there's just some really magical moments. So there's been a couple films like that really makes you happy to be sort of in the process. Oh, sure, okay. So the website's themedcitymovieguy.com. Most of the interaction occurs on Facebook, facebook.com/themedcitymovieguy. And then usually the third Friday of every month on KROC AM.